Oh my God, JJ Redick is back again, trashing Larry Bird once again.
And there's no way you could ever argue Larry Bird is a top 3-point shooter.
Here, let's go ahead and get into the video labeling and trash by ESPN Analyst, better known as JJ Redick. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts. Let me know what you want me to react to next. Make sure you subscribe. Let's get into this video. I'm very intrigued to see what JJ Redick has to say yet again about Larry Legend.
When it comes to the old school NBA, the 80s, the 90s, or now even the 2000s, a lot of fans think those eras, those time periods, were indeed the best. Now, looking at the new school fans, from really 2016 onwards, they think this time period, this era, is by far the best, the most skilled, and most athletic era of all time.
Facts.
And I would say one of the biggest advocates for this message is JJ Redick. And when it comes to past legends, he'll trash Bob Cousy, Jerry West, and even Larry Bird.
Yep.
And there's no way you could ever argue Larry Bird is a top 3-point shooter of all time. you can't make that argument.
No, I know that, but he was a great 3-point shooter. He was not
Look at JJ's face. How would you deny it? How would you deny it? Just because of stats.
And that last clip right there, no comment, no input. But look on his face, just disgust and absolute disdain for Mad Dog Russo and Larry Bird. And when it comes to this overall debate of Larry Bird and today's NBA, I think Redick most of the times is highly disingenuous.
Yep.
As looking back at Bird, in 1980, his first year in the NBA, the 3-point line was first introduced. That means for middle school, high school, even college, there was no 3-point line.
Yep.
So looking at Bird 40 years later, and looking at his percentages, threes taken,
oh my God,
and looking solely off that, again, highly disingenuous.
James Naismith invented the game. You were rewarded for putting the ball in the basket. There's plenty of people that have shot more, made more, and guess what? Made more at a higher percentage than Larry Bird from 3.
And look, let's be clear, JJ Redick, not a dumb individual or basketball novice. But for some reason when it comes to Bird, the overall context of era, threes taken, and percentage all goes out the window. As looking at Bird's first 5 years, when he was playing power forward, was taking 1.1 threes per game. Collectively those 5 years, his overall percentage was 30.8%. Now the following 4 years at
41.4%.
healthy, the overall percentage jumped by 10%. And here's the funny thing about Larry Bird. When he took above 3 threes per game, which for that era was a lot, his overall percentage was never lower than 38.9%. When he took above 1.5 threes per game, the overall percentage was 40.8%. What I think that shows you guys right there is that Larry Bird, even taking 2.5, 3 threes per game, highly efficient and a dead-eye shooter.
Yep.
And looking back at 1980, Bird's first year in the league, the first year 3-point shot, took 1.7 per game. Which back then, I mean, the first year 3-point line was pretty unprecedented.
Yeah.
And his overall percentage was 40.6%.
That's impressive in his rookie season.
Very important context. Bird that year as a volume shooter was off the charts.
Yep.
58 total made threes, which combined was more than 11 teams had on the season. Now comparing 1980 to 81, 82, 83, and 84, Bird's attempts were nearly cut in half. Again, going to show you guys, when Bird utilized this shot, he was knocked down and highly efficient. And most of the attempts from 81 to 84, full court heaves, desperation shots, shots like winding down, gotta chuck something up.
You know, I trashed Larry Bird. Dominique Wilkins has been on like 19 different podcasts talking about how stupid I am for saying that Larry Bird is a top 10 player of all time and one of the greatest shooters ever. But objectively, he's not a top 5 3-point shooter. He's just not.
Well, wasn't there
and the argument against that is, oh, well, if he had played in today's era, he would be a top 5. What? That doesn't even make sense.
JJ just doesn't want to just admit that Larry Bird would be one of the top 3-point shooters in the NBA today. Like, just imagine Larry Bird having a 3-point line in middle school and high school. How in the hell does he just gets away with shit like this? I really just do not know. Do not know. He gets away with a lot of shit. What's up, everybody? Here's a special message from our friends over at BETUS. When you sign up with them today by clicking the link below the YouTube description, you get 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits, trying to win you some odds in terms of what NBA team you think is going to win the series. Here's more from BETUS.
BETUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BETUS, where the game begins.
Oh, Lord.
Is that not based in reality or fact?
Wait a minute, but was there a three-point line early in his career?
So stopping it right there, Andrew Schultz, the host of this podcast, he asked Redick, was that three-point line there when Bird first began? And of course, 1980, it was. But here's the deal. Imagine in 2025 Adam Silver adds a 4-point line, which is near the half court. That would totally transform the game and make three-pointers a little bit obsolete and diminish them. And I would say the overall value of the 4-point line, it would take probably 10, 15 years to get its true value. But with that being said, someone like a Steph Curry, a Dame, the elite shooters of today, I wouldn't look back in 2016 and say those guys were just bum shooters and couldn't shoot 4-pointers like guys in 2060. Kind of the same thing with Bird. As again, 3-point line back then was a gimmick of once a quarter, twice a game type thing players rarely ever did. And Bird, still for that era, was a volume 3-point shooter shooting upwards of 40% yearly. And Redick in this clip being kind of dismissive, disingenuous, as usual.
You just don't admit it.
When it comes to Bird in today's NBA being a, quote, top 5 shooter, look, we'll never truly know. But looking back at the 80s, Bird's overall percentage being around 41.4% on around 3 attempts. I mean, just do the math. Transport Bird taking 3 threes, now to this era, taking 8, 9, possibly 10
threes.
His percentage might dip marginally, but his overall makes, career threes made, would increase tenfold. I don't think that's controversial, a hot take, or really breaking any news. As guys in this league today are really a product of their era and their time period, as even bad shooters are taking 5, 6, or even 7 threes nightly. And looking at the all-time ranks, Larry Bird currently is 125th all-time in made threes. And take a wild guess, who just passed him on career?
Draymond Green.
Yep, Draymond Green. I mean, even Jimmy Butler, not a knockdown shooter or a sniper, is going to pass Bird in the coming weeks. My overall point being, guys like Draymond, Jimmy Butler, not great shooters, but playing in the 2020s by default are taking more threes than someone like Bird in the 1980s. Does it make them better shooters? Of course not. That's idiotic. And if, like Redick suggests, it's black and white, clear cut, it's makes percentage, end of story, we get things like this from all-time perspective. Richard Jefferson, percentage-wise, 37.6% from deep. The exact same as Larry Bird. Now, total makes, Jefferson almost double Bird. If, like JJ says, makes percentage all that matters, someone like Bird, not a top 100 shooter of all time, from deep. But again, use common sense. Jefferson's era, 3-point shot was valued, taught, and practiced. Bird's era, it wasn't practiced, it was niche.
It was a gimmick.
And Bird himself was the pioneer and innovator of that shot. And like I said earlier, Bird in today's NBA by proxy would take double the threes he took back in his own era. And looking at guys today who take high volume 3-point attempts and are average below average shooters. Someone like Jalen Green, nearly 8 attempts, 34%. Terry Rozier, nearly 7 attempts, 34%. Kyle Kuzma, very similar, 33.5%. Keontae George, the exact same.
I'm high on George.
Someone like Jaren Jackson Jr., a Jordan Clarkson, P.J. Washington, even Sadiq Bey. All these guys run 5, 6 threes and low mid-30s percentage-wise. Are any of those guys all-time great shooters or knockdown snipers from deep? Of course not. But the overall point remains. Those guys in this era by default, because of the era, are taking more threes per game than Larry Bird. And looking back at Bird's own career as a volume three-point shooter, I got kind of curious. When he took at least 5 threes per game, how effective was he? Well, here's your answer. Looking at every year of his career,
Look at that!
in total,
Look at that!
5 games with 5
Woo!
threes. That includes the postseason. Total makes
Look at that!
249.
43.2%.
577.
Don't tell me that he
Percentage
can't.
of 43.3%.
Don't tell me he's not one of the great shooters.
Now, that right there on its own is pretty damn impressive.
Yes.
But the years it includes is Larry Bird's post-prime, 1990, 91, and 92. If you look at Larry Bird pre-injury, his overall percentage was
45.9% pre-injury.
5 threes per game. I mean, those stats right there, pretty shocking and impressive. As in Bird was a high-volume three-point shooter, his overall percentage actually increased.
So the game is a little different, but you're saying the data doesn't show that he's a top three-point shooter.
Yeah, he shot like 3 a game or something.
Yeah, I mean,
2.7.
37% for his career. Draymond Green just passed him in the all-time.
Yeah.
So, stopping right there, Redick. He understands Draymond Green passed Bird in all-time threes made. He gets that, but still can't grasp the overall concept that Larry Bird's era totally skews his stats, his percentage, and total makes. I mean, it's so plainly obvious a basketball novice could pick this up. And Redick, again, not stupid, not a novice. So what is he? I think Redick at his core is just pro-NBA 2016 onwards.
Yeah.
Anything prior to that, he couldn't care less about.
Yep.
And when it comes to Bird's overall numbers, Redick says straight up the data doesn't support Larry Bird being an all-time great shooter. Now here's the thing. My stats and my numbers, I think, disprove that notion pretty thoroughly. So that right there is the end of the video.
Yeah, just imagine if the NBA decided to have a three-point line when it first began in 1946. Larry Bird's percentage in terms of three-point shooting would have went up, skyrocketed, because you gave him time to practice in elementary school, middle school, and high school to work on the three-point line before entering the NBA when they added a three-point line in 1980. But just imagine you just added it in 1946. I mean, goodness gracious, you be talking a different side of Larry Bird right there. Yeah, we understand that Draymond Green passed him and stuff like that. Jimmy Butler's about to pass Larry Bird and all that. They're not better shooters than Larry Bird, in my opinion. Just look at the eye test. Just look at it. Back in the day, was just so much different than today. Today, you are required, you are taught, three-point shot is a weapon now than it was back in the day. When back in the day, it was inside and mid-range. Not a lot of people took threes unless you were a really good three-point shooter. So, yeah, just put Larry Bird in today's NBA. Look, he will definitely prove JJ wrong in terms of three-point shooting. He will prove a lot of people wrong of how great he is, of how great he would be in today's era. Like, y'all are just like looking at it from the side, the aspect of like, well, there's so many skilled players that's so much better than Larry Bird. Look, you can dribble you can have all the ball handling, all the ability that you want to and stuff like that, but that's not the most important thing about the game of basketball. This is the most important game. This is the most important skill in basketball is IQ. And Larry Bird, with his IQ, won a lot of games. Won the highest percentages in wins of all time. His IQ for the game is just top 5 all time. Top 5 all time. People will argue it's the greatest. I wouldn't really argue with that. So, I guess modern fans and people that's pro NBA, today just don't want to see that with Larry Bird. And they'll just take a clip of a game of Larry Bird where he missed a shot or he blew a layup or blew a three-point shot. Oh, man, LeBron James could have done this and that, blah, blah, blah. So, people are going to have their sides and their opinions at the end of the day, but they don't really look at the stats. They don't really look at the eye test. They don't really look at the games, unfortunately. It is what it is, though. But definitely comment down below and tell me your thoughts about this. Definitely let me know what you want me to react to next. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to ItzJustJP for more content. I'm JP. We'll see you in the next video.